and just basically be about the mindset and support one another through, these times. But it's really about encouraging best practices, both personally and professionally. So we're super excited for today. It is harnessing your personal power to forge a path to success. And it's a great transition from our last webinar, which was all about the power of mentorship. So thank you for joining. I'm going to transition this over to Jen. She's one of my partners in this space, and she's incredible. Just going to introduce our panel and the rest of the webinar, and then we'll get going with the moderation. So Jen, take it away.
Sounds great. Thank you, Chris. So you may have seen that little notification in the top left corner of your screen. I am recording this so that people who miss it are able to see the recording and get a lot of value from the panel today. So hopefully that's okay with everyone. And if it's not, I guess you can leave the meeting and I can send it to you later. So I would love to introduce the panel. We have a powerful panel today. I'm going to begin with Scott Russell. Scott Russell, you want to say a little hello?
Hey everyone, it's I can already feel the energy on just through this Zoom call.
Amazing.
And nice to see so many familiar faces.
Yes. So Scott Russell, he has a career that has included 18 years with Ritz-Carlton Hotel, seeing roles in sales and marketing and leading dynamic teams globally in reaching their personal and professional goals. Using that same vibrancy for success, he currently has companies that involve consulting for sales and marketing strategy and sales training. So his company, Dynamic Sales Solutions, partners with many of the hotel companies around the world. And then we've got Kate Harth. Kate, say hello.
Hey everyone, happy day, happy Wednesday. It's so great to see you. There are lots of familiar faces and I feel already like new friends.
Wonderful.
Good to be here.
Yeah. Kate is the principal consultant at Harth Consulting Group, where her clients include Ritz-Carlton, Ian Schrager, Marriott International, Renaissance Hotel Partners, Triumph, and many more. Working on behalf of ownership groups and asset management companies, as well as hotel management companies, Kate currently oversees 18 hotels in sales and marketing, both domestically and internationally. Kate also is a partner at Dynamic Sales Solutions, where she travels the world facilitating trainings that focus on sales either through basics or deeper training in tactics and strategies, and helping organizations create strong, effective, and passionate sales cultures. And she was also awarded Top 25 Minds of Sales and Marketing by HSMAI. Next, we've got Tia Graham. Tia.
Hello, nice to see everybody. Happy to be here.
Yeah, Tia is a professional speaker and founder at Arrive at Happy. She has worked with dozens of global companies such as Goldman Sachs, Hilton Hotels, and Kashi to elevate leadership, effectiveness, and drive bottom line results. With multiple certifications in neuroscience, positive psychology, and employee morale, she has supported leaders for 4 years at Arrive at Happy. And prior to that, she led sales and marketing team for hotels in the US and Turkey for 14 years. Next, and but not least, we've got Nancy Medoff. Nancy, say hi.
Hi, everybody. Good to see everyone. Quick shout out. Oh my God, Maura, Martina, and Megan. I had no idea you guys are going to be on the call. So psyched. Martina, we got to catch up later.
Awesome. Nancy is a confidence and persuasion expert who teaches professionals how to communicate their value when the stakes are high. This could mean more clients, faster promotions, better projects, and higher salary, as well as more resources for teams or help in being recognized for key contributions and value. Using key persuasion and negotiation skills, she coaches female executives who want and demand more, and those on their way up to win the attention of the people who matter to be more powerful in the room. So that is a little bit about our amazing panel today. Chris, go ahead.
Guys, thank you again for tuning in. Harnessing your power to forge a path to success. This is a great topic. We have such a great panel. So we're going to open it up first off with Tia. Tia, Arrive at Happiness. It's so amazing that you're part of this. And first question is, what is the difference between happiness and joy when it comes to productivity in your day-to-day life? And with that, why do so many people, especially in this time, arrive at their frustrations rather than replace it with thoughts of gratitude? Can you open up and just share a little bit about that?
Sure. Yes. Those are big, loaded, awesome questions. So the first question in the difference between happiness and joy. Joy is one of the pleasant emotions that human beings feel. There's about 10 major pleasant, feel-good emotions, and joy is one of them. We feel joy when, we book a new client. We feel joy when our child wins a soccer game, right? This is an emotion that we feel, or maybe, I don't know, a glass of wine after a long day of work, right? This is an emotion that we feel sometimes. Happiness is an overarching state of being. You could think of happiness or happy living. And happiness is a combination of those pleasant emotions and the unpleasant and painful ones as well. Happiness is about holistic living. Think about your spiritual well-being, your physical well-being, your psychological well-being, your mind, right? Learning and growing, your relationships, as well as that emotional well-being. It's living with a place of contentment and living with purpose and meaning. So joy is one of the emotions that contributes to happy living. And as both of those relate to productivity when we're working, is what studies have shown is that when we have more of those pleasant emotions like joy and serenity and calm and excitement, etc., when we have more of those pleasant emotions, our brain changes. Studies have shown that our brain actually broadens and builds. So we're able to see more ideas. We're more creative and innovative. Our learning centers open, and think about sort of your brain storage stores more. And it directly connects to productivity. There are studies out of Harvard and Yale and Stanford that show the connection between those pleasant emotions and productivity. And so I really try and inspire people to focus on their own happiness because directly connects to business success. And for the second question, why so many people arrive at frustrations rather than coming from a place of gratitude, it really is unfortunately how our brain has developed over time. Our brains have negativity biases, and this is because of survival. And so that's why the news and the media is all negative, right? Because negativity sells. The media knows that exactly. And as humans, we need to be intentional. We need to be really conscious about focusing on being thankful, focusing on gratitude. Naturally, without focus, your brain's going to look for danger, is going to look for things that are frustrating, going to look for things that we're scared of. And so that's the reason why. But you absolutely can live a life focused on gratitude if you have the rituals and the focus in doing so.
Tia, can you just quickly give us some examples of what you do when you wake up for gratitude? And maybe this is something we all can take with us as well.
Sure, yeah. So waking up actually starts the night before. So a key part is sleep. Adults need 7 to 9 hours of sleep. 7 is the minimum for really living a well life and also having brain health as well. So starting there. And when you wake up after having a good amount of sleep is before I get out of bed, and I've been doing this for, I don't know, over a decade. Before I get out of bed, I ask myself this question: what are you excited about today? And it takes maybe 4 or 5 seconds, but I do it every single day. What are you excited about today? And I remind myself that, I had to talk about this yesterday. I remind myself daily that I'm not immortal. You know, I'm a mom. Anything can happen any day. And I remind myself that every day is a gift. Every day you wake up and you breathe, it's a gift, a huge gift. Before I go to bed, I will think of things I'm grateful for. But it's really sort of starting off with that mindset of, I woke up, I'm alive, and I'm excited about this. So that's one tip I can share.
That's such a great explanation. Thank you for that thorough response.
If I can chime in to what Tia was saying, I think, you know, unfortunately, as human beings, we probably tend to go into that negative, what's wrong? And as Tia had mentioned and alluded to, gosh, we're living in a crazy world right now, between everything that's hitting us, the noise that's out there about the economy, jobs, the political environment, COVID, right? Health and safety. There's just so much going on. And how do we channel our energy? And I definitely am, I'm not a Pollyanna, but I'm a realist, but I definitely like to think that the glass is half full, and that's how I approach life. Certainly there's tough days, but as Tia mentioned, like, there is something to be grateful for every single day. You know, I think about the fact that I went through years of personal physical therapy with my knees. So just running 3 miles when before I used to be able to run marathons, etc. I'm so grateful for that. And I'm grateful for the sun shining. I went through a tough time in my life, career-wise, several years ago. And I remember reading a lot. And one of the things was get up and meditate. And I mean, I used to think, what, are you kidding? I'm not going to take that time. What is this? And then I did it. And the first time that I meditated, I was brought to tears because I thought about how grateful I was for the things in my life, even though I was in some kind of despair or not a great part of my professional life. I'm reminded of yesterday, even having a conversation with a lady that I used to work with, and I have just adjectives amongst adjectives of how dynamic she is, but having a conversation with her yesterday, and I felt her desperation in her voice because she's working full time and she's like, this is so hard, and she started crying. And I said, let's reset and let's think about how great you are. Travel will come back. You're doing the right things and it will come back, and we have to appreciate and celebrate the little milestones right now, because that's what we have. That's all we have right now.
Yeah, and if I could just say that, Tia, I love what you're saying is that you wake up and it's a gift. You know, so every day we get a gift. It's a new gift, but because every day is new and it's different. But it's how we open that gift and how we are, once we open it, how we are taking that gift to help us take charge of the day, to go out and get something done today. You know, you talk about the whole productivity. We feel better when we are doing something, when we are being productive. And you can't wait for other people to put you in a situation to be productive. You have to do that. So, you know, in these times where we can all become so sedentary because waiting for tomorrow or waiting for next week, no, the gift is today. And open that gift and, you know, be cherishing it and enjoy the gift for the whole day, because tomorrow's another one.
Yeah, so well said. And Scott, I'm going to come back to you and Kate, but I'm going to transition this to Nancy. Nancy, I love this question about mindset. You said that your personal power starts with mindset. How have you leveraged your strengths so that your skill set stands out and are best utilized no matter what climate we are in? Can you expand on that?
Sure. So I read a book probably about 15 or 20 years ago when I was with Marriott. It's by Marcus Buckingham, and it's called Now Discover Your Strengths. So this whole strengths organization has been taken over by Gallup, but it's still really powerful. And in fact, I just got an inquiry today from a client who wants to use the Strengths Finder exercise as a team builder. So basically what Marcus Buckingham says is, your strengths are your strengths, and rather than spending time, excuse me, trying to improve areas that is not a strength, perhaps you spend that time really honing in and really leveraging and building that strength. So about, like I said, 15, 20 years ago, I stopped trying to be good at things I wasn't good at, and instead decided to be the best at what I'm already good at. So if you take that forward and you look at your skill set, if you're looking at a job interview or a presentation or a client meeting, whatever the case may be, what is that 1, 2, or 3? I actually recommend 3 because people remember things in 3s. What is that 1, 2, or 3 areas where you shine, right? What are you great at? Why does that matter? So I call it strengths with benefits. And I know that Kate and Scott, who are very big in the sales training world, will appreciate that. It's what's your strength and then what's the benefit. And then I recommend people tie that back to the so what. So you can have the most powerful positioning statement in the world, the most powerful value prop in the world. If you cannot tie it back to the so what, you're dead in the water before you even get out of the gate. So why do I care? And this is something that I do with my clients really, really often. And it's painful. And we keep going back and we have some fun with it. And I just keep saying, so what? So what? I mean, Martina, you probably remember this from years ago at Marriott. So what? Why do I care? So you take those 3 strengths or your 3 pillars of your value prop, whatever that is, strength, benefit, so what? That is your power positioning statement and you will be unstoppable. I guarantee it.
Wow, that's great. Speaking of, go ahead, Scott.
No, I'm just like, Nancy, I want to hear more. And, it's like, the old marketing, it's like, we know what we do, how we do, but why do we do? And that's the so what, it's like when I would have talking with my clients and they're like, oh, well, let's put it out a press release. My first question is why? Like, and if you can't answer why, don't put it out. But the why is the hard part in everything we do. Just like what you said, we know the what, we know the how, why. And it sometimes takes a long time to get to the why, actually.
Can I ask Nancy to repeat that? Nancy, repeat those things, please.
Sure. So, and if anybody wants to hit me up on LinkedIn, I have a worksheet I'm happy to send to you. So this is, what are your strengths? What's the benefit tied back to those strengths? And so what? Why do I care? Why does my client care? Why does the interviewer care? Why does the organization care? Why does my spouse care? Whatever the case may be, when you're trying to make a case for something, always start with them. What is in it for them? And that's not a bad thing, and that's not a Machiavellian thing. That's human nature, right? So Charles, if you want to hit me up on LinkedIn, I'm happy to send that little worksheet over to you, or anybody, happy to do that.
And I will add in that the studies, there's been many studies, thousands of people. There's one that comes to mind that was done in New Zealand of when employees know their strengths, that they're more successful, they're more engaged, they're more productive. So for all the leaders that are listening, even if you have a team of 1, you have a virtual assistant, make sure that they know their strengths and that you know what their strengths are and that you're talking about it on a regular basis, because that's going to make them love work even more.
Yeah,
I have to jump on this. I mean, I remember working with a sales manager, and boy, I mean, she could make that cash register ring, and I needed business on Sunday night. She went and found it, but she wasn't great in the details. And every month, the director of conference services would be like, we need to talk about what's this, because her details and turnover, I'm like, she's money in the bank. We'll figure it out, because if that's not her strength in writing down all those, I'll get someone right behind her to write everything down. But if she's going to get all these clients to commit, I've got to harness that strength, and I can figure out the rest. It's the same thing, like, don't put me in an accounting office. No offense to accounting. It's a square peg in a round hole. It's never going to work. So yeah, we've got to find out, and it's the fire in the belly. What makes someone just want to be dynamic in their position? And it's whatever really gets them going and jumps out of bed in the morning, and it's their true strength.
And by the way, it's also, sorry, Chris, yep. It's very freeing. So once I know, so I love the example, Kate, because mine was always spreadsheets. I'm never going to be good at a spreadsheet. I'm awful at spreadsheets. I either hire people who are good at spreadsheets or I ask people to help me. So fine. Once I know that I don't need to try to get better at spreadsheets, great. Now I can spend all my time really, really honing my craft. Mm-hmm. And it is incredibly freeing, you guys. It's one of the best things I've ever done in my life.
Yep.
love the flow of this panel. I guess, you guys, this is the first time all four of them have been together. So as you can tell, I feel like they're best friends. So let's let them keep going. But we do have to keep adding more questions. So I'm gonna go back to Tia, and then we'll keep it going like we have been. Tia, you mentioned that business cultures are dealing with low productivity, disconnection, and low morale. What is one healthy remedy tip that can help the above? Let's just talk about low morale, for example. Do you want to expand on that?
Yeah. I mean, definitely we're now, 6 months into COVID, and I've talked to several organizations this week, hospitality and out of hospitality, where the high of kind of like, cool, we're all working from home. It's like, oh, wow, is this going to be till 2022? And furlough people not coming back for long, right? There's all of these different events that are affecting people's psychology. And there are many, many, many things that leaders can do to increase morale. And I'll just choose one to keep it simple. So people are happy while working, whether it be at home, at a hotel, in an agency, wherever you are. People are happier while working when they're receiving consistent feedback. And it needs to be more positive feedback than feedback for improvement. And leaders, just people in general, human beings in general, are uncomfortable giving feedback, giving regular feedback, even the positive. And yet it's really, really, really important. Human beings want to know what they're doing well, and they want recognition and acknowledgement. That gives them that fire in the belly. That gives them that motivation. That makes them want to keep picking up the phone, calling customers, in the sales world, for example. And they also want to know when they're not, when they're maybe making mistakes, or they're, making the wrong decision. And so what I'm encouraging all the teams and executives that I'm working with right now is, especially in the virtual world, when there's less of that in-person human connection, and maybe that not as natural sort of in the office, like, hey, yeah, great job, got a contract, as an example, you need to make sure on a weekly basis that you are giving positive feedback, specific positive feedback to everyone on your team, and when needed, giving that feedback for improvement as well. But it directly connects to employee happiness. So that's one way to increase morale right now.
So
yeah, and I want to add that I love that that you talked about that human touch, or that human, because that's what I firmly believe that, we all hear unprecedented times, uncertain times, probably 20 times a day. And what I think and what I espouse to those around me is that what we're in right now is truly human times. And it's not that we weren't in it before, but that human touch, that human feel, that human inflection within your voice, that humanity can come across on a Zoom call as well as it can come across in person. It's that genuine humanity for those around us, our coworkers, our family, our friends, our clients. It's that human touch, and it needs to carry on even stronger for that time tomorrow.
Yeah, and I would just add, I agree that there's just so many people who are not comfortable with feedback. It's shocking to hear they're not comfortable even giving positive feedback. But I think of, in every type of correspondence or interaction, it's a relationship, right? Whether it's peer to peer, colleague to colleague, whatever, boss to employee. How does one continue to grow without understanding that you're going on the right path, but here are some opportunities, and also, gosh, laud them with all the great things that they're doing. And superstars don't want to hear just the good things either. They want to continue to grow. And again, not focusing on the weaknesses, but here's what you could have done better, or here's something, whatever that might be. Because what I've said for so many years is, when we as leaders don't give that feedback, we're doing the disservice to the organization, obviously. we're protecting ourselves, which is wrong because we're not comfortable, but you are harming that individual for growth. And when you start to harm me or my paycheck going up because you don't have the ability to give me feedback, I mean, shame on any leader for that. And I think back that if it's about a relationship, don't we give our significant others or our children, don't we give them feedback? And the answer is yes. And it's because we love them and we care about them. So don't we, and shouldn't we love and care about our employees and want them to grow, even if we have to pick them up? And it's a tough conversation, but it's out of our genuine heart.
Yeah. Yeah, no. And I think for people where this doesn't come naturally and it doesn't come consistently, I tell people, no one's going to know on your team. On Tuesday at 1 p.m., put an hour that says positive feedback. And of course, when things come up and you're going to look at your team, you might have 15 people and you're going to say, did I recognize George? Did I recognize, what have they done? And it sounds really simple, yet it's rare. So make it a priority.
And again, just to jump on that, because there's not going to be big wins like we had pre-COVID, we've got to celebrate every milestone, every little milestone to keep us going and keep us continuing to be motivated and on the right track, because we will all travel again. This is all in our DNA. We will travel again and fill our hotels and venues.
Absolutely. Nancy, when it comes to strength and authenticity, how do you relate that to what we're talking about?
Great question, Jen. Thanks. So I'll tie it back to the authenticity piece. So actually, when Kate was talking, I was thinking about a boss I used to have who would never give me any feedback. And I would, we would do a presentation and I would say, how'd I do? And he would say, you did great. You did a great job. It was amazing. And I thought that was great. And it made me feel good and everything. But I'm like, no, I want to get better. So to Kate's point, I want to get better. And Tia, you mentioned that people aren't comfortable giving feedback. So an HR director recommended to me that I ask, and I thought this was great advice. Thank you so much. I'm glad the presentation was great. What's one thing you think I could have done differently? You just, so if you're not getting the feedback from your leaders, then you need to ask them. And it can't be, how am I doing? Which is counterintuitive because I'm used to asking high gain, open-ended questions. But you really want to narrow it down and make it easy for them. What's one thing you would have preferred I did differently? Or what's one piece of feedback on my style that you think could help me improve? And then you're kind of helping them to help you navigate, which in turn helps you stay true to who you are, but a better version of who you are. So I tried to tie that back, Jen, to the authenticity piece, but really I wanted to just piggyback on the last topic or the last question.
Scott, personal happiness is so important. And I know Tia brought this up in the beginning. Can you just expand on how to harness the power of personal happiness? Like, what is that one daily reminder for our audience to actually put that into action?
So sorry, is that for me?
Oh, that's for Scott.
Okay, sorry.
You can join in anytime, Tia. It's, first of all, so much of what's been said is about the person being you. You're the person that we're talking about. And personal happiness that's your responsibility. You defined happiness, you go out and find the happiness. It's like when Kate talks about the 10 rules of the bus, you're the bus and you're the driver. And so and you can take that path that you want that helps to find you happiness. But first of all, you define what happiness is. And it goes back to what Nancy said and what Tia has mentioned and what Kate's mentioned, because it's about you. So who are you? It's like, what is your brand? And that there are a lot of people on the call who talked with Kate, and I before. I believe wholeheartedly in what is your personal brand? What is your personal brand promise? Because at the end of the day, when you think of the word brand, people go, oh, it's a logo, it's reputation, it's this and it's that, and you go on. No, a brand is a promise. So when you formulate what your personal brand is, it's your promise. And your brand post-COVID is the same as it was pre-COVID. That's who you are. Now, it may look differently, it may sound differently, but the promise is still the promise. And, you know, it's like when we were younger and, you know, that song that our parents sang to us or we did in Sunday school, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Okay, you're the light. You're the light. So how do you make your brand shine? You know, like I refuse to let anybody put my light out, to throw water on my light. And that's my brand. And, you know, Chris, like Tia wakes up and, you know, has that gift and says what, you know, her gratitude pledge. I actually think about my brand promise every morning after I kick the dogs out of bed. And yes, there are 5 of them. But, you know, my brand promise is open and honest leadership delivered with humor and a smile. Okay, so how am I going to bring that to life today? And, you know, and it's like, that's been my brand promise for as long as I can remember. And, you know, it's like, it's on my LinkedIn profile at the top because, you know, there are so many times that we can find ourselves living in the sea of sameness. I'm not that. I refuse to be the same. You know, we live in a commoditized society with brands, commodities, and all that. It's people too. Well, I refuse to be a commodity. You know, I'm not. I'm Scott, I'm different, and I'm gonna go out and spread that. Whether you want to hear it or not, I'm going to do it. And I just think that you're responsible for that happiness. And it's not up for me to define what your happiness is, because happiness for everyone on this panel is different. And, you know, it's up to you. What makes me happy? How am I going to find that happiness today? And how does my personal brand reinforce not only finding the happiness, but reinforces the happiness once I've found it?
Scott, that is so good. I'm gonna hand this over to Jen. But before that, if anyone has any question at all regarding this topic and what we're discussing, please type that in. We'll get to you. But Jen, you have a follow-up question to branding?
Yeah, when it comes to creating your personal brand promise, what are the steps that a person can take if they haven't yet created it?
Yeah, and like Nancy, I can send a worksheet to you. And first of all, this is something that Kate and I are extremely passionate about. We talk about it in everything we do because it's so important. But on the worksheet, you need to write down words that describe, Nancy, you'll like this, what you do. And this is your personal brand. This is not, I mean, we talk about it a lot in professional brand state, what you do. Another column, how you do it. And then the final column, the spirit in which you do it. Once you've out that, and just let it rip. Throw as many words out there as possible, but that meet that for you. And then you want to take that worksheet and then formulate a personal brand promise statement. And you know, I say it in our class, there's no right length, there's no wrong length. You know, if the person that uses the biggest words doesn't necessarily win, just because your word has 5 syllables doesn't make your brand promise the best. And take that and formulate your personal brand promise. The only rule is there's got to be at least 1 word from every column. And I'm happy to help people formulate it. And and once you do it, you know, I tell people, I'm gonna write it down on the back of a business card, put it in your purse, put it in your wallet, because there are going to be days that, you know, are not great days. But you know what? Pull your brand promise out and say, you know what? I got this. This brand has this. But I'm happy to help anyone walk through that, Jen. Thank you for asking.
I love that. You know, I want to go back to Kate because brand is so important, and especially showcasing your brand with value. And Kate, this industry is at a standstill. Many people are furloughed. Can you expand on just the value of how people should communicate both their brand and just kind of being that differentiator? You want to kind of expand on that personally?
Sure. First, let me start off by saying you are who you are. So you have to, in this world where if we're sellers, we boast about our destination, we boast about our venue, we boast about our hotel. And then whenever we do this exercise, Scott and I, wherever we've traveled, it's really interesting, but it's also the way we are. Like we're, a humble human beings where we forget about talking about us. And people do business with people they trust, not just they like. So I'm stealing Scott's thunder, but we're, I'd like to think the dynamic duo. And, I may have drinks with you, but it doesn't necessarily I'm going to give you my business. And I think so first and foremost, I would say, know who you are and know what is uniquely special about you. But in this day and age, more than anything, we've got to listen. And I mean, hopefully you can tell right now I'm a very passionate person, but actively listen, like aggressively listen. And along those lines, empathize, because everybody's going through so many different things and we have no idea what burdens they're carrying. But don't need to remind everyone, there's a huge loss of jobs. People are scared. This is truly about health and safety. And so besides listening, besides knowing who you are and be empathetic, we need to be relevant. So we need to do things differently. And I'd understand what my true value proposition is. Now we may throw that word around, but what is your service or product that you absolutely can say steadfast, you do better and uniquely much greater than your competitor, but you have to include you. And that's where we miss the boat. We go on and we're so proud, and that's wonderful, but what is it about us as well? Because somewhere along the line, a client, a boss, a colleague, your loved one told you something that made you know that's what you do, that's amazing and different than your competitors. So I think, that's what we really need to do. And I'm reminded of right after we all learned of this word COVID, and as hotels started to open, there was a luxury hotel in Austin that opened, and they pulled everything out of their rooms. Well, they opened on a Friday. They spent the whole weekend dealing with clients who were like, I expected luxury slipper. I expected everything I had before, so I want that. I want that back in my room. So they brought everything back in their room. That's just a kind of a big generic example of listening. But I think too many times we're so ready for the answer and we don't just kind of button it up and really listen.
Each one of you speak on so many great topics and encourage people to take that next leap of support and faith. Tia, going back to you, what are some good examples of your students who have taken these principles and put it into action? Can you give an example, or maybe of an individual that actually has put it into practice and you've seen transformation in their life?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. The thing that comes to mind when you ask this question is alignment, right? So we are these very complex, amazing individuals, and work is a part of our life. Family is a part of our life. Health and wellness is a part of our life. Spirituality, that meaning and purpose, and so on. There are all the different aspects of life. And when I work with people one-on-one, they're coming and there's all these different words they might use, like stuck or unbalanced or overwhelmed or unhappy, and so on, all of these words. And really what they are is their life, the way they're living their life is not aligned with their values, right? So taking the time as a human being to figure out And there's one woman that comes to mind, I won't say her name, but one woman that comes to mind where we got really clear on these are your values as an executive, as a human being. And then looking at her life, right? We all have the same amount of time, every single person, right? Like we have the same amount of time as Elon Musk every week. And different people choose to do with their time. They make different choices. And so we can look at the way our life is structured, the Monday through Friday, the work week, and sort of our weekends, and look at, these are your values. Does it align with what's in your calendar? Does it align with exactly how you want to live and how you want to move forward? And many people, most human beings have really big dreams and have really amazing things that they want to do with their personal life and their professional life. And taking the time to step back and say, I'm here right now in September of 2021, this is where I want to be. And how I'm spending my time, does it correlate with number one, my values, and number two, where I want to go? And so that work, when I work with clients one-on-one, is making those shifts so that there's alignment.
I love that. Nancy, can you expand on some of your students, one standout as well?
Sure. She's awesome, and she's one of my favorite clients. I'll go back to what Kate said earlier, because it ties also to what T said. You are who you are. And if you are who you are, and you own that, and you embrace that, you then have permission to go do whatever you want to do. So you can do what you want to do and only what you want to do all day long and get paid for it. This panel is a great example of that. So you can do that. So once you do that and you step into your strengths and you own your authenticity and you communicate that with clarity and confidence, you can exhale and go thrive at work. And that's how you do it. It's by figuring out your strengths, stepping into your authenticity, owning it, and going for it. Because you can have it. You can have it. We all have it.
Nancy, you just gave me goosebumps.
No, I love that, Nancy. That was awesome.
I mean, guys, honestly, I don't do anything in my day that I don't want to do. I mean, I do stupid stuff I don't want to do, but I don't.
Yeah.
So you can do it. You can do it.
We have to make the most of our time. Scott and Kate, any lasting words regarding what you've experienced with the individuals you've worked with as well?
Well, yeah, and it ties back to a lot about, what Nancy says. We can have mentors, and that's great. And I think pretty sure everybody on this call has a mentor or two, but you have to decide what it is that you want to do. Like Nancy said, it's got to be something that you want to do. Your mentor may help you get there, but they shouldn't be the one that says, this is what you should do. It should come from your gut. And, as Kate and I travel the globe, we can tell which people that we're in front of that have that fire and that fire in the belly. We know that the next time we meet them, they will have achieved something far greater than what they ever thought the last time that we saw them. And when we see them again, we're like, okay, we knew it. And it goes back to, authentic, passion. And passion comes in all shapes and sizes, and it's not the loudest person in the room. So I'll let Kate take it from here.
Yeah, I would just say, when we think about this, our lives can change when we get off this call. Something can happen in a week from now. Like, it's frightening. And quite frankly, when Scott and I are on the road, I'm genuine. I am who I am. If there's any people on the call that we've had the opportunity to teach, they know I cry. It's just who I am, because the older you get, the faster things are going way too quickly. I want to stop time a little bit. And I just think that, to Scott's point, when we're in the classroom with people and we're talking about the things that we're talking about, if it doesn't resonate, and I'm going to go back to the fire in the belly, if it doesn't make you want to jump out of bed, if your job doesn't make you want to jump out of bed, and then I always clarify, I do love my weekends. I'm not, a freak or anything. Like, I love my personal time too. Then you are doing yourself a massive, massive disservice, because our life is so short, and you need to do something that absolutely is like just gets you going, gets you absolutely going. And one of the books that I feel grateful that I fell into a job, and it was the hotel industry, and I never was like, oh, I should have been an accountant, or oh, I should have been an orthodontist, right? There was none of that. Like, I feel very lucky and fortunate. But I will also say, when there was a transition in my career, I'm trying to talk fast, like this is the Academy Awards in case we're at the hour mark, that one book to help you all that I thought was great for me in my life was The Passion Test by Chris and Janet Atwood. And it's a book, and it's a workbook, and you answer questions along the line. And I was like, I want to be with people, but I want to be with people I respect. I want to publicly speak, etc. And this stuff, you put this out to the world, and it does come back. It's the law of attraction. It does.
Yeah.
If you told me this 10 years ago, I'd say you're crazy.
Yeah, Kate, you're making me think of when the universe is confused with what you want, the universe can't deliver what you need, right? So taking the time to get clear. And another great book is The Crossroads of Should and Must, because our family, our culture is like, you should do this, you should do this, go to university, get married, have kids, get a VP title, whatever. You should. And what you need to get clear on, if you don't have that fire in the belly, is what must you do? Like, you can't waste your life. What must you do while you're on this planet?
Yeah.
Well,
We
Tia,
go on for hours here.
I know, right? Tia, Kate, Scott, Nancy, this has been an absolute incredible panel. I know everyone here that's on this call has been encouraged. There's a takeaway for everyone if we really think about our discussion. So guys, really go out there, harness the power to forge a better way to succeed in life. And let's just give a round of applause just for all of their support and sharing some great inspiration. We're very inspired from all of you. But before we let you all go, we have one last thing. Through the Hospitality Mastermind series, Jen and I, we've been encouraged. We've heard some amazing speakers, some industry leaders that have really given us kind of an outlook on life. And so we are launching a new business called Mindset Hospitality. And it's really about the power of mindset and to work closely with individuals like what we have here on the panel. So Jen, do you mind expanding quickly and sharing a little more about this?
Yeah, absolutely. So Mindset Hospitality is the exclusive mentorship organization for hospitality professionals who want to achieve their potential faster. So over the last 6 months, we've had all these amazing hospitality mastermind series and collaborating with industry leading experts who have done a lot of things right in their career, but also a lot of things wrong. So with this new project, you get access to what they learned and also learn from their mistakes. So as they're rebuilding and growing and reinventing their businesses today. So if you want to learn more, I'm going to throw up a little poll here. Just say either yes or no. And we would love to get in touch with you to tell you a little bit more about this exciting project. But thank you so much again to the panel for lending us your wisdom and your knowledge and your worksheets and book recommendations. I'm sure everyone is just so excited to apply everything that they learned today. Oh, Chris, you're muted.
I am muted, but go out there, make it a great day. Be reminded of what they said today. You are all amazing. We're going to get through this. We're going to become better. So thank you all. Happy Wednesday. And we'll see you on the next Mastermind series.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Yes. See you guys.
Yeah.